Well, thanks for everybody for coming out tonight. We appreciate your support. Our heart is to support the parents in Denton ISD who have kids with disabilities. My name is Mayer Cunningham. I am the founder of Special Education Academy, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table to navigate and negotiate successful student outcomes. And it is with a broken heart that I am here 6 hours from my home because this district is committed to violating the civil rights of parents and individuals with disabilities in their school district. When we pulled up here tonight, one of the staff members came here and said, I'm not allowed to park in the parking lot. It's against the law. The police are coming and I can't have a press conference. So it's so sad that that's the way they treat us in IEP meetings, is they just try to bully us in the parking lot. And so I probably do 500 IEP meetings a year, and it's rare that I would have a district be so aggressive with parents. I serve a lot of parents in this district. You have some amazing staff members. Ms. Davis has always been nothing but wonderful, but your new leadership is problematic. This district receives state and federal funds for individuals with disabilities, and the ugliness that goes on in meetings, instead of just saying we messed up, we need to clean it up. So for just a few families that I have are here, we have children that are in self-contained special ed settings, and those require, as you know, a special ed certified teacher. There's no law in the United States, no matter what state that you live in, that there's ever been, in 48 and a half years, an exception for special educators. And in these two parents' special education class last year, there was no special ed teacher. The teacher became certified to teach special ed in May of 2024. And instead of the district just saying we made a mess, they're standing on it. They brought their assistant superintendent to our meeting to say it's okay in Denton ISD. We don't have special education teachers. HR said it's completely fine. Well, Texas Administration Code 89.1131 said it's a crime. It is against the law. It denies the students faith. It denies them a free, appropriate education. It denies them access. In our last meeting, one of my families, the district told us that they denied their child 7,425 minutes of special education. 7,425 minutes of special education. Their offer to remedy that was 105 minutes. That's right, 105 minutes. Because we don't really care about people with disabilities. We care about making people go away and do what we say. Well, that's not how the law works. The law is to protect children, and this district is reticent to argue with them, fight with them, and lie about what's happening. My other families have been retaliated against. They're now not allowed to come on the property. While other parents are walking their kids into school, it's now illegal. She's banned from the campus. It's a new policy. It's just a policy for parents that stand up for their rights, parents that have representation, and we're just not going to allow it. And we'll come back as many times as we need. And we have a federal complaint here that's been opened June 2024. A district needs to make it right. So the federal government has stepped in. The U.S. Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, this case number is 0624-1856. It's a public record, discussing the allegations that are valid that there was no certified special education teacher. So it's not the families that I serve, it's your families. So if you think you have a special ed teacher in Denton ISD, you might be very mistaken. And your child is due those minutes. If they wanted to staff the classroom, they would staff the classroom. They're not running low on people back here to tell us we can't be here. We're not running low on principals. We're not running low on athletics. If it was a priority, we would use those funds that were given at the state and federal level and serve these children. And so we're not going to allow it. I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to be bullied. And I think it's really important that you know that it's a systemic problem. It's not a one-off. It's not something that happened because of somebody's behavior. We've had staff members reach out to us. Staff members telling us it's worse than you think it is. I have previous staff members. I have advocates that live here. I have attorneys that have reached out to us, but they're afraid they're going to lose their job or their kids are going to be retaliated against. I'm not afraid of Denton ISD. They should be afraid of their non-compliance, but most importantly, you're hurting children. See, kids with disabilities are due access, they're due equity. And the misinformation, the manipulation here in this district, led by your superintendent, and led by your Director of Special Education and Compliance is completely egregious, and we won't tolerate it. And so we're here to answer questions. We're here to give you any information. We're collecting families' information now to do a statewide, a state systemic complaint, because the Texas Education Agency needs to audit this district from the top to the bottom. We have other families that wanted to share their concerns. So this is one of my families. This is Tanya, amazing parent, and she has a child with a disability. We thought a couple years ago when we started, he was a 3-year-old, we're just going to roll in, get this done, and it's been a fist fight the entire way. So Tanya, do you want to share your experience at Denton ISD?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, I'm Tanya East. I'm a parent of Theodore over here, who's a 4-year-old non-speaking autistic child. Day one, when we started in Denton, we were pleading for them to implement a robust AAC device for him. It didn't happen. In the spring of 2023, we got an outside provider that allowed us to get a device in his hands. The district, even though it's a bring your own device district, only used it 10% of the first 9 weeks. This is his voice. This is being modeled to him, and they're rarely using it. As Karen mentioned, last year we didn't have a staff, the classroom was not staffed 164 of the 180 days of school year. That is 72,160 minutes of the school day that was not staffed by a certified special education teacher. The room was not properly staffed with the required certified teacher or paras, which has led to neglect. As I mentioned last night, that meant that he wasn't being properly toileted or having his diaper changed. On one occasion, he came home with the same pull-up I sent him to school in. And one time this year alone, he was not changed for 7 hours. That is pure neglect, because they are not properly staffing that room, and they are denying our students their civil rights to provide a free, appropriate public education. Our children are not less than, and they should not be treated that way, and I'm greatly saddened that the district does not take this seriously. As Karen said, there are some amazing staff here, and there are some amazing teachers, but sadly that is not across the board in the district, and sadly my son and his classmates have been severely harmed. Thank you.
So when Ms. East stood up to advocate for herself and said the classroom's not staffed, so the classroom is for 3 to 5-year-olds, so it's very normal that the parent or grandparent would walk into the room. Now it's all of a sudden become an imaginary closed campus. Just like this imaginary parking lot you're not allowed to park in. I'm not allowed to stand here. So it is not okay. You are entrusted to take care of children. And it is unacceptable that they deny these children their rights, but they're denying them an education. Theodore uses a voice output communication device, and they will send us pictures all day long. He doesn't have it with him. So in case you don't know what that is, just like you talk into your cell phone, it's a system, it's a simple system, just like sign language. And usually it's used less than 10 minutes a day. It's the same thing as putting your hand over somebody's mouth and not letting them talk. And they're doing everything they can to run these parents out of town, and I'm not going to put up with that. So we're happy to answer questions.
How many parents have come forward to you so far? Not necessarily that you filed complaints before, but how many parents have you heard from?
Yeah, I think it was only 3 weeks ago that we posted that we were coming to Denton ISD. I don't live anywhere near here. And the emails just started coming in. Direct messages, emails, not wanting their names because a lot of them work here. A lot of them are other teachers that have said, you need to fix this, but there's retaliation on the outside, and there's even more retaliation on the inside. The district knows about it. The assistant superintendent came to my meeting to tell me it's okay that we don't have certified teachers. HR said it's okay. It's against the law. There's never been an exception for special educators. It's 300.156 in the federal code, 89.1131 here. We didn't get a pass for special educators during COVID. You don't get a pass because we're just not going to hire them. I promise you, when the federal government gets involved, guess what you'll do? You'll hire a certified teacher. The other thing is that when we ask staff members in meetings just simple questions about the IEP, your special education director, who's in charge of compliance, talks for everybody. She will not let a single staff member speak. And if we don't agree with her, then we're the problem. And so the parents have the right to meaningfully participate. They are 50% of this process, but she is running the entire show, and it's awful.
And so in total, you filed 2 complaints on the object fluoride for Denton ISD.
I filed more than that. This one is open, so it's a process. So you file the complaint, which I file complaints for parents all over the United States. They give me permission. I do an interview, and then we have one that's about to be released. We just don't have it yet. And then we have other families that we're doing federal and state complaints.
Okay, so how many complaints total for Denton ISD?
A lot.
A lot?
A lot. Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous. I think based upon the people that I've talked to that are not necessarily my clients or that I didn't file for them, it's over 10. It's over 10.
And then one investigation has been opened into the complaints that you filed, and that's Ava's case behind you.
Yeah, and so, so this has been open, and I'll read it to you, whether the district discriminated against the student based on her disability by failing to provide regular special education related services deemed necessary to meet her individual needs. They did not provide 95 minutes a day of emerging literacy. They didn't provide 60 minutes a day of numeracy, did not provide 30 minutes a day of special personal care, and did not provide 15 minutes of physical education, and did not provide 105 minutes daily of social emotional support. Therefore, denied the student a free appropriate public education during the 2023 school year in violation of Section 504 in Title II. And then it says at the bottom, please be advised that the recipient, which is Denton ISD, may not harass, coerce, intimidate, or discriminate against an individual based on the individual file complainant. If this happens, the individual may also file retaliation. I can tell you. So this is Delia and Lovely. Since we filed, would you say the district's behavior to us in the meeting has gotten better or worse or the same?
Definitely worse. Definitely worse. They're pushing us back, they're cutting us off, and not really willing to hear our voices or compromise in any way. And I think the hardest part is not taking accountability, even after they acknowledge we're not delivering my child over 7,000 minutes of education. So it's been really disheartening to sit there and just kind of expect to take this as a typical bystander. Just to kind of add to that, the NISD's response to our concerns that were brought up yesterday, they made it sound like we were on board with everything. And yes, I kind of was the first year, I will be honest about that. But I think with any parent who's trying to navigate special education, it's really difficult. And I think for me, my parental intuition, and my husband, we had a hard time figuring out where these gaps coming from. And so it really wasn't until we had our advocates kind of jump into these meetings and really ask the right questions. It ruffled the feathers, and it's very clear it's ruffled the feathers. And it's shown up in many areas, definitely wedging the relationship between the campus staff and the parents, not communicating with us via email, by phone, not allowing us to walk our kids to the classroom anymore. So it's definitely disheartening. It has been very difficult to kind of see how this panned out. The retaliation has been very
And the executive director in our meeting, when she confirmed that this speech therapy has been denied at minimum 7,425 minutes, she said, I'm offering you 105 minutes on recording, but we don't think we owe you anything. She said it twice on a recorded meeting. The arrogance and the ego is unacceptable. I don't know who hired her, but you made a mistake. I don't know. They're patting us on the head. We're doing you a favor. We're doing you a favor. We were to give you 7 15-minute sessions, because that makes up for 168 days, right? That'd be okay for your kid, right? That'd be fine for the rest of y'all. Like, how disgusting to think that we can talk to people like that. And this is how people are treated that have representation. Most people don't have representation. They don't have an advocate. They don't have somebody else partnering with them. So we just run over them and we just lie to them. So when a parent says there's not a staff member, there's no paras, so all of a sudden we have an imaginary closed campus. This is a public school district. That they don't own it, and they have a responsibility to implement every special ed child's IEP with fidelity. Yep.
Are they supposed to be served in their existing school? Or does the district require them to travel to a particular campus that might be out of their dependent city?
Yeah.
How much work is on the families to get their children to the proper facilities?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So special education is a low percentage. So we get to the high school level, probably every special ed program exists at every high school campus, but it's going to be less the lower you get. So these kiddos are in a 3 to 5 year old program, so every elementary school doesn't have that program. But as you asked that, when we asked for them to fix that the teacher was not a certified teacher, you know what their response was? We can move you to another campus. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, we can let these little tiny kids ride the bus for an hour. Like this is not a roulette wheel. It's a responsibility, duty, and obligation. And they just feel very confident not providing it. But there's not always a program at your campus, and you might have a program at your campus, but it might be full, right? So we do have to look as a committee at where's the proper place for feeder pattern, zoning, that sort of stuff. Yes, ma'am.
It seems like it's a statewide issue, the fact that there's not enough people that are certified to teach. Is this a Denton ISD issue, or is it, do you see this everywhere? I'm just kind of curious about this issue.
Yeah, so probably 20% of my clients are teachers. I want to just give you a surprise answer. We are not running low on teachers. You know what? We don't make teaching enjoyable. And the way they just tried to bully all of us in the parking lot is the way they treat their staff. If you treated your staff well, your staff would stay. Teaching is an amazing vocation. But even the teachers who have reached out to me, and some of them are here, they don't want to be on camera, they're in their cars, have asked their principals to stop putting their certification in jeopardy. If I'm a general ed teacher and you make me teach a special ed class, you put my certification in jeopardy. I'm here as a voice for teachers. We love teachers. There are plenty of people to hire if you made the job what it should be and supported them. Because here's what I know, teachers are amazing, parents are amazing, special educators are amazing. It's always, in a district, it's always a top-down issue. I've done this for 28 years. I don't know how many press conferences I've done from coast to coast. This is the first time I was ever told I was going to be arrested in the parking lot for standing here. And if you talk to me like that in a parking lot, how do you think you talk to parents who are already traumatized in a private meeting? Yeah.
There was a SHARS funding audit.
Yeah.
And there has been considerable cuts to SHARS funding.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe that ISD recently released that they had lost more than $1 million in SHARS funding. Does that impact special ed programs, or is it for a completely different menu of programs that deals with Medicaid?
Sure. So annually in an IEP meeting, we have to provide the parent a Medicaid form, and they have been given the option to understand it and do they get Medicaid. SHARS is a different programming that says, hey, if Tom's son gets speech services, we have the option to bill federally. But that has nothing to do with special education funding for implementing an IEP. That is a very small percentage.
That's a supplement that can be offered to families who might need additional therapy.
No, it's not a supplement, so it's for families that qualify, but it doesn't, they qualify outside of the education system.
So it's not part of the IEP?
No, if her little boy needs speech, we're giving you speech. If her little boy needs a motorized wheelchair, we're going to give you that. If her little boy needs an intervener, we're going to provide that.
So those cuts should not affect you?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Did they tell you that?
No, I just said, I was
Okay.
just wondering that.
Yeah. Yes.
For the cameras and for the cameras, can I have your first and last name and your title and your representative?
Yeah, so Karen Mayer Cunningham, Karen, MAYERCUNNINGHAM. So I represent the St. Paul, and I represent the East family. These are other families that have been impacted and treated the exact same way. And I'm just here to give them a voice. Here's what we need to do. Tomorrow morning, Friday, get it together. You have every ability to get it together. Instead of sitting in your ivory tower up here, why don't you go staff a room? Why don't you get out of your school board meeting? Why don't you get out of the admin building and go staff a room? Why don't you do that instead of locking people out of public education? And we're happy to answer any questions from families or anybody else. Or
Thank you. I think
yeah.
Ma'am, also your first and last name, please.
her name is